Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Thorns and this is my Guild Wars 2 reading of Zafirah Requiem. I hope you enjoy. There was a vision, a promise that we'd win. My god is dead. Aurene gone. The warmth of Balthazar's spirit is now just a cold, lifeless crystal. Crocatoric took her from me, just as his brand will take this world. I thought I had finally found something. A hope that I was holding on to was real, that it was pure and good. Maybe it was. Maybe what I had for that short time between my lowest point and the end of all things was as good as it will ever get for me. Or maybe the vision I saw, me standing there at her side during the final battle against Crocatoric, was meant as a warning for me to stay away. There is no solace in what lies ahead. All I can do is look to the past, and I carry it with me wherever I go. The rifle on my back is a symbol of what came before. The first thing I remember, the glare of the sun, the blistering heat of the desert, my family's screams. There are other voices too, deeper, guttural, crying out their praise for Palau Joko, as if the Lich could hear their devotion across all Alona. My mother and father, my sister and my brother, they hurried me out of the door and into the vast desert with only my mother's rifle and a small bag heavy with ammunition. Too heavy for a child, but not nearly enough for what lay ahead. They told me to escape to Amnoon, made me promise I would survive. So I ran, and their screams became one with the desert's winds howling at my back. I fled north, through the Scourgeway, through the desolation and away from Joko, whatever that meant in Alona. And I hit the bone wall. No one could sneak through the gate without going through at least 3 dozen awakened, and these weren't the mindless boars that wandered through farmlands and villages, scaring up support for the Lich. These ones couldn't be fooled, couldn't be reasoned with. If you tried to slip through the gate with a flimsy excuse or poorly forged papers, you didn't go to prison. You were killed on the spot. I saw it happen as I was summoning the courage to try my luck. The poor fool stumbled in front of me, insisting he had permission to cross with a small group of farmers working the Elon riverlands beyond. The guard showed him no patience. No mercy. Maybe he was part of the group. Maybe he wasn't. It was clear to me I'd never get through on my own. I was trapped, wandering the desolation. I'm not sure how long I hid in the desolation. I was alone, with 46 bullets left in that heavy bag my family placed in my hand. Some wild game lasted longer than others, but once I was out of ammunition, that was it. I needed to escape through the Joko gate. There were rock gazelle, of course, sand eels and devourers, though missing a shot meant drawing their attention, which was dangerous. I learnt not to do that. One particularly desperate day, I even tried to make a meal of a sulphurous ooze. The less said about that, the better. If any of Joko's Awaken found me, they needed bullets too, but that was a waste. I had to hide from them. When I wasn't out hunting or trying to plot my way through the gate, I was left alone with my thoughts. All of them about the family I'd lost, and everything that had been taken from me. There had been the farm, chores, target practice in the morning, the routine of a simple life, a life that wasn't mine anymore. Of course I wanted to mourn. Of course I wanted to grieve, but I couldn't. To grieve would take time, effort. Couldn't waste it. I needed to survive. I needed to move on. I needed to get to the Elon Riverlands, to the Crystal Oasis, to Amnun. It would be 31 pulls of the trigger before I'd found that chance. Find your center. Breathe out. Don't pull. Squeeze. The crack of the bullet, the flame at the muzzle, the kick of the rifle, and then the long silence. The rock gazelle's silhouette disappeared from the horizon. It was done. There was already another silhouette in the distance. Awakened, I thought. I looked through the rifle's scope and saw it was an Alolan, a woman, dressed in finery nicer than any I had ever seen. She was looking at the gazelle, checking to see how it fell. She turned in my direction and waved, sitting down on a rocky outcrop as if waiting for me. I felt something. How long had it been since somebody acknowledged me? Weeks? Over a month at least? I reloaded the rifle, pulled the strap over my head so it hung loose at my side. If she tried to take my kill from me, it would be easy to sling the rifle up into my ready arms. As I got closer, the shock on her face was as clear as the sky was blue. She shook her head, impressed, and gestured down at the dead gazelle, flies already congregating. "This was you?" she asked. "Yes." I remember her careful movements, slow, deliberate, unafraid. As I put myself between her and my kill, she explained that the gazelle wasn't mine, that it belonged to the shepherds who paid the Hamasi good money to keep their herd alive. But her tone wasn't patronizing or malicious. She seemed impressed, amused. Nothing I'd expected. "I don't know what the Hamasine is," I'd insisted, "but it can't have this one, and neither can you." She smiled then. "Not for nothing," she said. I remember that, because I would hear it many times after. She asked me who taught me to be such an incredible shot. I offered her no answer except my silence. But she saw something in me, something I didn't mean to show. She said she understood, that she was sorry. I couldn't imagine how this stranger could possibly understand. I felt the fury and confusion building in me until she spoke the words. "The Joko Gate. You want to go through it?" "Not for nothing, of course." She would take care of me. She would get me past the bone wall. She would forgive me for shooting the gazelle. All I needed to do was pledge my aim to the Hamasine. Zalambor was quick to see my talent, and quicker to take advantage of it. If he didn't, in his mind someone else would. There was plenty of other members of the Hamasine who asked for my aid, but Zalunburg was the only one to demand it. And Zalunburg demanded only the best. When he first laid eyes on the old battered rifle I carried, it didn't matter to him that I could hit anything I saw in my scope. He couldn't know what it meant to me. Against my wishes, he replaced my mother's rifle with a new one, branded with the symbol of the Hamasine. Its scope was twice as powerful, and capable of firing twice as quickly with half the kick. He told me I would need it if I was to be his Deadeye. I hated it, but also I loved it. I don't know what happened to my mother's rifle, but Zalunburg insisted it didn't matter. It was a thing, an instrument, a tool to be used, then discarded. The new rifle served me well, as targets sooner turned from wild game to awakened, then to Elonians I didn't recognize, then to Elonians I did. Zalunburg climbed the ranks of the Hamasine atop a pile of my shell castings. I was respected among the Hamasine, but with that respect came fear. Even with all the power Zalunburg offered, I felt something missing. There was an emptiness to it all. I wouldn't know what that something was until I found the Zaishan. For as long as I could remember, the six gods had no place in Joko's Ilona. I'd never spent much time thinking about them. Zalunburg and his Hamasine associates weren't exactly devout. And my own parents, as far as I remembered, didn't pray to any of the six. So when Zalunburg told me I was going to be protecting a group of Zaishan priests as they traveled through Joko's gate from the desolation into the Elon Riverlands, the very path I had traveled years before, I didn't think much of it. Zalunburg sent me to work with many Elonian factions, after all. He always considered himself something of a caretaker to the oppressed, suffering under Joko's heel. If there was a group out there capable of irking the Lich Lord, then Zalunburg took great satisfaction in throwing his support behind them. But looking at these priests, I wondered why Zalunburg was wasting his time. I met them in a small cave surrounded by acrid, toxic pools somewhere east of Helcoid Seeps. There were 8 of them, all of them garbed in heavy robes dyed bright orange and black. Their leader, Atsu, had some sort of decorative mesh headwear that covered his face, like a helmet, but with no actual defensive purpose. I remember thinking it was silly. To be honest, everything about the Order of the Zaishan seemed silly to me at first. Balthazar was the god of fire and war. How do you live your life by fire and war? I was an agent of death and destruction within the Hamasine, but I hadn't sorted out. It wasn't part of me. After years of service, even with the power and prestige Zalunburg offered, I felt nothing but emptiness and the fear of the others in the Hamasine. I could never be one of them, not truly. Because if they crossed Zalunburg, I was the one he would send to end them. People kept me at arm's length. Who would want that? Who would crave that? I was wrong. I was wrong about everything. Atsu, the priest, had done something I would never forget. I had just taken down an awakened patrol from high in the canyon above to guarantee safe passage north. Atsu had asked to come with me to my patch, to see me at work. Zalunburg didn't want to anger these priests, so I agreed though I paid him no mind, refusing to let his presence distract me. Find my center. Breathe out. Don't pull. Squeeze. The crack of the bullet, the flame at the muzzle, the kick of the rifle, and then the long silence. Zallenberg had expressed joy when he saw my skills with a rifle, knowing how he could use it to further his own ends. Most others expressed surprise or fear, knowing that if they were to be marked, they wouldn't see their end coming. But Utsu prayed. Praise be to Balthazar for this gift. He prayed after each shot I took, 4 to take down the whole patrol. I'd had many different reactions to my prowess with a rifle, but never that it was some divine gift. I was unprepared for that. When I tried to dismiss it, he seemed disappointed. Not that I was rejecting his gratitude, but that I, in his own words, was unaware of just how special I was to Balthazar. Then I felt something. I didn't know what it was at first, but it felt strangely familiar to me. A power, a presence. Had I felt it before? Had it always been there? Utsu unsheathed his dagger and pressed the hilt into my palm. The Zaishan insignia, something I'd never seen before, was carved in the bottom. To me, it looked like 2 flaming wings carrying a bull's eye. He told me Balthazar praises those who act. Balthazar praises those who step forward, not back. Balthazar praises those who do not hesitate, both in life and on the battlefield. And most importantly, Balthazar praises those who take a life to save others. To the Zaishan, it's never about killing, but killing to secure safety for the many. Not to wage wars, but to win wars. Not to kill, but to protect. Utsu asked me what I was killing for as a Deadeye at the Hamasine. What had I become? Was this truly what I wanted to be? What was I meant to be? No, it was not. At least I thought it wasn't. I wouldn't know the truth until Balthazar. The Zaishan told me I was one of them, accepted me with open arms. I had been given a gift by Balthazar himself, they said, and I believed them. I felt Balthazar's presence that day. His power was there all around me, guiding my hand. It had always been there, I realized. A shadow of a thought in the back of my mind. It wasn't until Utsu spoke to me in that cave, high above the desolation, that I finally realized my true calling. So I left the Hamasine, left Zalembor, left it all, but I kept the rifle. Under Utsu's guidance, I donned the garb of the Zaishan. I learnt the words Balthazar spoke to us long ago when he helped humanity conquer Ascalon, and learnt to listen to his voice deep within me and spread it to those who could not hear him. The Zaishan did not fear me. The Zaishan did not want to use me for their own ends. The Zaishan simply were, and I simply was. I was a part of them, and a part of something greater than myself, greater than any one person. I was part of a family again. I was a priestess of Balthazar. And then my god came to Tyria. I knew. The moment I saw him, I knew he was my god. I knew this was the one I had pledged my service to, the one who had given me my gift, the one who had brought purpose and meaning back to my life. But something was wrong. He stood before me, tall and imposing, power radiating from his physical form. But this power was different from what I'd felt all those years before. His voice dissonant from the one I'd heard within me. Still, I was blindsided when he betrayed us. I tried to rationalize. I was even successful for a time. Weeks passed where I convinced my Zaitian brothers and sisters to take up arms against both the Pact Commander and the Branded. I watched them throw their lives away. I couldn't deny my god. The whisper I had once felt within me grew in volume and urgency. Whatever Balthazar asked of me, of the Zaitian, we readily gave him. We would sacrifice all our lives to rid the world of the Crystal Dragon. The Zaitian joined Balthazar's forged army and pushed into the Crystal Desert. We would destroy Kraukatoric, and we would save Tyria from his vile brand. Nothing could stop us. Until the commander did. Argon Garrison, it was to be my final stand. I knew I'd never kill the Crystal Dragon, but I had to do something. There, with my fallen god's sword, I would end my life on my own terms. I would go down fighting, as Balthazar demanded. I raised my rifle. Find my center. Breathe out. Don't pull, squeeze. The crack of the barrel, the flame at the muzzle, the kick of the rifle, and then the sound of the metallic clank reverberated through the training yard. I'd seen canisters like this all over the Crystal Desert, filled with paralyzing gas. The Forge used them to subdue any who thought they could surprise us from the caves and ruins that peppered the landscape. And it was always easier to interrogate a living prisoner than a dead one. With my god and his Forge defeated, there was little doubt the Pact was stocking their weaponry, taking it for themselves. I would make use of it all, one last time. If anyone tried to take the sword, they would either feel the bite of my rifle or fall to the choking haze filling the garrison. And then there was a sound in the yard. "If you are here to claim the sword, turn around," I shouted down at the intruder. "You have no right to it. Leave now and live." But wait, only one intruder. Who would be foolish enough to? I looked through my scope. It was the god killer. Instinct. That's all it ever is in a fight. I was angry. I wanted revenge. And I told the commander I wanted it. On the Pact, on Balthazar's enemies, they had killed my brothers and sisters and the god that gave me purpose. Later, much later, I realized that wasn't exactly true. While I did want revenge, it wasn't against the commander or the Pact, or even my god's enemies. I wanted revenge against my god himself, against Balthazar. Balthazar killed the Zaitian, my brothers and sisters. Balthazar sent us to die, sent us to fight the Crystal Dragon, to give our lives for a war that could end Interior's destruction. And it was the commander who killed him before he could kill all of us. The commander saved me and what was left of the Zaishan. We remember Balthazar differently. He helped us discover our best selves, helped us find a family. I cannot let who he became, the one who betrayed all of that, shake my devotion. My faith is not in the God himself, his flesh such as it was. My faith is in what he made me feel, his power, his potential, a potential that lived on in Aureen until she died. I do not know how long I knelt before Aureen's still form, searching for something, anything. All I saw there was my own face, reflected back in the facets of Kraukatoric's crystal. I began to think about those hours in Argon Garrison. I began to think about what I'd done. Atsu's words came back to me. What are you killing for? I should have asked that before. I should have thought about how Balthazar treated the Zaishan, how he treated me. How he treated the Zaishan as his weapons, to use as he saw fit, his tools, implements, things to be used then discarded. 1,000 fragmented faces look back at me from the crystal. 1,000 faces all trying to find an answer to Atsu's question. When I was up in that garrison, I didn't know. I wasn't trying to answer the question. With my dead god's extinguished blade drawn close, I realize only now I was trying to hold on to the purpose that had been taken from me. I was lost, filled with despair. My god was dead. My family had become sworn enemies of Alona. The only one who had given my life meaning was now being cursed as a pariah who had nearly doomed the world in a fit of madness. I had spent my life telling others of Balthazar's virtues. That Balthazar praises those who act. That Balthazar praises those who step forwards, not back. That Balthazar praises those who do not hesitate, both in life and on the battlefield. That Balthazar praises those who can take a life to save others. That Balthazar's Zaishans did not take lives, but protected them. These were the virtues of Balthazar, the virtues I had lived by, the virtues that had given me purpose and strength. And I would never be able to speak them again. When I was up in that garrison, I saw no path forward. I felt no purpose. I wanted everything to end. I wanted them to end me. The commander showed me another way. Zalambur and the Hamasine used me as I had used my rifle, as a tool that fired bullets to increase one man's power over others. Balthazar used me to strike against the crystal dragon, no matter what the consequences for the Zaishan. But the commander saw me in a vision, a prophecy. For the first time, the only time, my destiny was firm. Did not need to wonder if I had chosen the right path or trusted the right people. I didn't need to know if my bullets or blade were being used for the right purpose. Fate, not a person, not a god, had chosen me. I didn't need to worry anymore. there was something else too. In these last fleeting weeks, I saw what family and leadership is truly meant to be. Aurene, blessed with Balthazar's magic, yet benevolent and caring. She stood in front of those weaker than herself. She died protecting the commander, protecting us. Balthazar would never have done that. I finally understood. Balthazar is gone. Aurene is gone. Dirya is as good as gone. But I remain. I still stand, along with the commander and the pact, along with the Zaishan. Fate dictated I be here at the end of the world. If it is to fall to dust, then I will speak the tenets of Balthazar until the ground crumbles beneath my feet. I will shout the story of Aurene and her champion until the breath leaves my lungs and I fall into the void. All the things I put my faith in have left me. Now, in these final moments, I put my faith in myself and fate. Nothing else matters. Please like, share, subscribe, and show some love to Ada, Hain, Molani, Jolly Joestar, Sir Azu, Cub, Christopher Martin, Dark Griever, and all my wondrous patrons without whom I would be unable to dedicate the time and resources I do to my content creation. I can never thank them enough. There are referral links below to the free-to-play game, the Heart of Thorns expansion, and the Path of Fire expansion too, thanks to the generosity of ArenaNet and their partner program, of whom I am a proud affiliate. Using any of the referral links below directly supports my channel. Now I hope you will join me again very soon for more Guild Wars 2 goodness, but until then, as always, thanks for watching.